In our classroom, we're trying to incorporate a lot of loose parts into their play. Loose parts are great manipulatives that are open-ended. It involves imagination, creativity, and as you can see at Play-Doh, the girls are just getting started here, but they're using jewels and gems to begin some of their work and imagining what it could be. Right now we have a bunch of paint pots out that the children have made and created, and one thing that we took away from our reading from The Ethic of Excellence with Ron Berger is when you're displaying children's artwork or any work that might be going up in the room, it's very important to explain to them the purpose of having an audience. When children know their work is on display, it's going to put a different work ethic into their paintings and documentation that's being displayed. Some of the documentation that we have on the wall currently is our baby project, and we always keep in mind, the height of it. Can it be interactive with the children? Is it at their eye level? So for an example, here was a project when we had a visit with a child. They were learning how black and white images really help babies' development and brain stimulation. So they took the opportunity to use shapes and rulers to make their own designs, and often we'll see children coming. We shrank their work to have their own version of it in the dramatic play area, and they use this often with the babies to role play what they've learned in their own experiences at school. So again, with documentation, thinking about what's at eye level, we also have open houses once a month with families. So some of the pieces that are more text heavy are more for the parents or adults in the classroom who are learning about what's going on in the room.
In our art studio, we have small black bowls that we put on the shelf so that when the children are working on an art project, they take the materials that they need and put them into the bowl to keep them organized. We found that supports the children in slowing down and being more intentional in what's happening. So instead of taking a handful of markers, they look at the carefully sorted materials and they think about what do they need in order to do that art project. So I might need 2 googly eyes, I need a blue crayon, I need a green marker, and so this allows them to be more organized and also more intentional. Instead of just taking handfuls of different materials and gluing or pasting it onto something, they're then slowing down and thinking about what are they going to use and what tools do they need for their project.
And in September, the way we slow this down and really reinforce these organizational skills is we take small groups and we do a little bit of a lesson with them, and we do a lot of role modeling. So that way the children know what the expectation is, and when they're hearing the message over and over, it then provides them with the opportunity to then become independent in that area.
So we spend a good couple of months at the beginning of the year not worrying about academics and what the children know and what they need to know, but we spend that time focusing on how to take care of and use the materials and tools in the classroom so that they're more successful in their interactions and learning.
So we currently have a dance studio in our classroom. At a conference that we were at, Tracy and I were speaking to someone, and they made a really good point. They said with music and movement, we don't ask children to self-regulate. So we thought that's a really profound statement. So we introduced our dance studio after a project that we were involved in, and we've kept it ever since. And we found that kids gravitate it in knowing when they have excess energy. When thinking about where we were wanting to put it in the classroom, we thought about those loud and soft points in our room. So we do have it away from our book nook because that is naturally a more quiet area, and have the dance studio in a larger space for the movement and where they can have a little bit more of a louder voice. So again, with our dance studio, a question that we often get is, how do you manage the volume in the classroom? And something that we really embrace in our classroom is teaching those social skills with the kids. If there's another child that's in an area that's having a really hard time focusing on what they're doing, we'll encourage them to go up to the children that are dancing in the studio and say, do you mind just lowering the volume? I'm having a hard time focusing. It provides the kids a natural conversation to be had, and in the most part, they learn that respect of having others in the room as well then.